everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This is Making It Happen with Mary, and I am Mary. Thank you so much for joining me. Before we get started though today, and this is a good one, you guys, it's going to be a long one, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button down below because I do want you to be part of my Mary Makers community. Anyway, today, me and all three of my kids, I have 2 adult children and 1 younger child. Here he is back here. We are on our way to Put-in-Bay for the entire weekend. I'm going to keep you guys updated as to everything going on, and I cannot freaking wait. So let's go. So we made it into our room. We're staying here at the Bay Lodging Resort. Here's just a view behind us. They do have a pool, bar. We're on the golf cart now, and we're waiting for my daughter to get this thing moving, and then I'll show you guys everything.
Figure out where the key goes.
Figure out where the key goes. Destiny, you see this? Did you see this? Are you reading?
Bottle of Lake Erie. I wish I had my glasses. I didn't think I'd be needing them.
Hey, Anthony. Who that? Who's in the bathroom? Yeah, I'm here. I'm right behind you, Des. I hear you. Oh, look at that cannon, Anthony. Look at that. How cool that is. Look at the different size here.
Yeah, and look at how huge those guns are.
I know. Look at those guns.
That's about the height of me.
Yeah. Look at the size of the bayonet.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our last call for a 15-minute movie. Thank you.
Now this was rats.
Yeah. Yeah. Timber from the U.S. Brig Niagara.
That's like the
1813. Anthony, this is from 1813.
bad wax.
trying to get this. Okay.
Twice, yeah. Along the way, you're going to be hearing a lot of history. Otherwise, it's just me pointing at a building saying, yep, that place is haunted. Okay, next place. So they get a story along with it. And it also gives you a frame of reference. And the section to the left of it was built in the 1880s by Valentine Doler. Originally, that first part of the house was built to house a family that operated a steam sawmill here on site. But 4 years later, 1859, that's when Valentine Doler, a German immigrant, arrived on the island. Brought with him his father, his wife, and his two brothers, Chris and John. And he took over operation of the steam sawmill over here. Like I said, he added on to it in the mid-1880s. Now, Valentine Doler, he would also become the mayor of Put in Bay, and he built the buildings that's now Mossbacks and the Fishbowl as a general store. He and his wife, they had 6 children, all daughters. And it's been said that Valentine Doler and his wife forbade the daughters to ever get married. It's not true. The eldest daughter did get married, and her husband, they had a son. He, however, never married and never had any children, and there are no living descendants of Valentine Doler alive today. The real reason that the other 5 daughters didn't get married was simply for the fact that they did not want a man telling them where to go, what to do, or how to live their life or spend their money. Yeah, go Doler daughters. Now, the last of the Doler daughters to occupy this house, her name was Olga Beatrix Doler. She died here in 1974, and when she passed away, she willed the entire estate to her caretakers. Oh, yeah, watch out, we got a golf cart coming through, so we got to take a step in.
15 miles an hour.
Well, that might go a little faster. That's a personal. That's an actual car. Guys. So yeah, when she passed away in 1974, she willed everything, the entire estate, to her caretakers, who a few years later sold this house to a family, and their last name was Heidenreich. Now, I had the good fortune of interviewing Terry Heidenreich when I was writing the book Lost Put in Bay. Unfortunately, he passed the following year. But he told me a couple great stories about his family's time here. And his father, who had bought the house, was walking from that old section of the house into the newer section. He used to feel like he was being followed. And he thought it was one of his kids messing with him or something. So he'd sit there and he'd stop. It's like, okay, and he'd turn around real quick, and of course there's nobody there. I got a younger brother named Tom. He used to mess with me just like that, so I know the feeling. Better than that, Terry, who occupied one of the 2 bedrooms on the second floor of that old section of the house, he woke up one morning and found that he could not get up out of bed. He was being held down, he said, by some unseen force. And more than that, also, he found himself short of breath. And this went on for a few weeks. Now, he was a little embarrassed by this, and he didn't tell anybody about it right away. But finally, one morning over brunch, he said, okay, and he told the family. And while he's sitting there telling them what had been going on, his brother-in-law, who occupied the bedroom next to him, is just sitting there across the table from him, just shaking his head like this. And he finally looks at him and says, what, you don't believe me? And Terry's brother-in-law goes, that's not it. The exact same thing's been happening to me for the last few weeks also. Now, we know of 7 members of the Doler family that have died in this house, Mr. and Mrs. Doler and the 5 unwed daughters, but it turns out there's an 8th person that died in this place. There was a guy who was born on this island in 1848, and his name was Daniel Philip Vrome, and his father, Philip, had been a caretaker for the Edwards family that owned the island prior to De Rivera purchasing it in 1854. Daniel Philip Vrome, and shortly before he died in the 1920s, he wrote down an account of life on the island on the back of a piece of wallpaper, of all things. And in that account, he talks about the first funeral he ever attended. Said it was for a child of the family that operated the steam sawmill here on site. And their child died, and the funeral was held from their home, which would later become the Valentine Doler house. Said after the funeral, the coffin was nailed shut, and they put the coffin in a rowboat, and everybody rowed together in that boat over to Gibraltar Island, where that child was buried between 2 trees. And he said until recently he'd been able to find that burial site, but since then one of those trees had fallen over, and he couldn't find it. So now that makes 8 people who have died in this house. But who haunts it? We don't know. That were part of Mr. Brown's collection, but I believe they ended up over at the museum where the shirt shack is today. Very popular with families. Children like to come over here and put coins over their shoulders and make wishes. One time I even saw a $1 bill in there. Somebody really wanted something to come true. And they light it up at night, and it's really pretty too. So when you come by later, you'll see that it's all lit up. It is a very